Hi, Kirk.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got it.
How
My
are you doing?
gosh. Yeah, what a beautiful dog.
Yeah, that's yeah. I had her until January, a 13-year-old puppy. So
Oh,
uh,
yeah. That's they find a
Kirk,
corner and
I'm sorry. This is Blake. Hello, good morning, and thanks for joining us. I have to say, I feel your pain. I had our 15-year-old dog. She passed away 3 weeks ago. So
oh man, that's
I,
horrible.
it is. She was a flat-coated retriever, family dog, the
Oh,
nicest dog in the world. Never growled even. So I get it. I'm still in shambles right now. So anyway,
yeah,
good to hear from you. Good to see you.
yeah. Likewise, it'll last a while.
yeah, they find a
My
corner in your
empathy.
heart nothing else can touch. So
Truth.
yeah, I've had a few. So they were my kids. Anyway, so do you have a screen to anything you want to show us today, Kirk, while you're talking? I believe
Sure.
that the tweet you sent out last week is you were explaining why you bought the market last week. I think it
Well,
was an alpha seeking alpha article. Is that
right.
did I read it correctly?
We did a really quick in and out trade. So I don't trade a lot. You know that our buddy Shooter does, but I bought ARC the day before it rallied 10%. So it ended up being a good day, right?
Okay.
I'm not a big market bull, that's for sure. Uh, I've been talking about getting the 50-60% cash allocation since the end of last year. And, that's serving us pretty well right now. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about bear markets or the dollar or oil or all of them, but
Yeah, you know what, whatever's on your radar and you think is important for people to reflect on the idea in case they're the other way.
well, why don't we
So,
start with
okay,
the dollar? Because you guys are
okay,
you guys are Forex guys, right?
yeah,
So, I've been forecasting the dollar for a very long time. And around 2012, when everybody was talking about the end of the world for the dollar and the dollar was going to collapse when it was already pretty low, I said there'd be a long-term bull market in the dollar. And relative to other currencies, mainly the whole cleanest dirty shirt argument, that's happened. Uh, when President Biden got elected, I said that would mark a local bottom in the dollar, and it has. And right now, we're seeing the dollar spike on the Fed's rhetoric, which I'm in agreement with the people who don't think they're really going to go that far. Because I don't think they'll need to, and I don't think they want stagflation. And I think they realize that if they really kill demand with higher rates and tighter liquidity, they're also going to kill the
dollar.
expansion of the supply chain that we need. So they're
Okay,
they're in a rock between a rock and a hard place. Do you kill demand? If you do, you're hurting the supply side. So I think that they probably are just looking for a correction in the stock market, which is what they said, right? There was a quote from a Fed president essentially was, we need the stock market to go down. And if it doesn't go down on its own, we'll make it go down. Well, that's what they're doing right now. So the dollar, I think, is probably close to a short-term top. I don't know if it can go up a little bit higher. I suppose it probably could. I've expected the dollar and the euro to get to parity for years, and it's finally starting to happen. Will it hold in the short term? Probably not. Will it hold in the long term? Probably so. Because I think the point that people miss over and over and over again in their pessimism is that the United States has the strongest large economy in the world, and that won't change in our lifetimes. So the dollar is probably going to get into a new higher range as the crypto dollar or digital dollar, whatever they end up calling it, appears in the next few years. You guys, with your conversation about uh, the normalcy of cryptocurrencies and digital currencies, I think was spot on. I think that people are used to it. But Tony here in your chat room hit it on the head. Most nations, especially the developed nations, are never going to give up using their own currency as a medium of exchange. And a point was made in your chat room that the futures contracts pretty much validated that Bitcoin is a commodity. So it's not going to be medium of exchange. It's going to be store of value. And while it was early on used to launder money out of China, now it's being used for store of wealth, store of value by the wealthy. There's about $400 million last week that went into Bitcoin, mainly from institutions and family offices. So if that doesn't validate Bitcoin to people that the really big players are buying it on the correction, I'm not really sure whatever would. But the dollar and Bitcoin, if I was looking for a medium of exchange, I want the dollar. If I want a store of value, especially across multi-generational wealth, or because I have a little bit of global transactions to make off of a big balance sheet, right? Your Teslas of the world, then I think that Bitcoin has some value there. And in emerging markets, I think you're probably going to see some emerging markets use Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. And of course, they'll soak up some of the supply, and that'll drive the price up. I had an interview with a guy named Dr. Sean Stein-Smith. He's on the crypto board in New York. He's a professor at Cornell College. And he said that Bitcoin easily goes to 100,000 this year or next year. I agree with him. And in fact, back of the napkin math, just based on institutional adoption and family offices believing in it, right? And family offices are pretty conservative on this stuff.
Yeah,
it's hard to not see Bitcoin making a run at 500,000 sometime this decade. So, when you take a look around, oil almost seems like small potatoes sometimes.
Okay. I know you had I think Barron's published an article that you wrote about Ford several months ago.
Yeah.
You still like Ford?
I really like it on this pullback. Yeah. I think that it can get down to 10-ish. What is it now? 12, 13. We were buying it back in February and March and April of 2020. I had gone to CES 2020 and talked to a bunch of the automotive executives and OEM executives, and they all said one thing. They said, hey, come 2026 with the tighter mileage standards, everybody has to go EV and hybrid. It's just the way it is. So I looked around at some of the presentations, and it was pretty clear that Ford, with their Mustang Mach-E and the Lightning, the F-150 Lightning, were light years ahead on the technology compared to a lot of other companies. Their fourth industrial revolution technology at Ford is something that gets overlooked by the market, but it's huge. They're going to be able to expand into multiple lines of business. You saw them do it with the ventilators in 2020. They have different joint ventures coming that I know of, and I'm sure there's plenty that I don't know of. So the technology, coupled with the immense real estate footprint that they have, is going to allow them to do a lot of different things, especially since the automotive production, once the ICEs are phased out, that cuts what they need for auto manufacturing nearly in half. So they're going to have a lot of real estate that either they're going to fill with other businesses, or they're going to sell a lot of real estate, and it's very valuable real estate as supply chains move back to the West.
Okay, interesting. And what you have here on the screen is something we don't hear from most people. Most people do believe there is a physical oil shortage, that there was one before the Ukrainian war. And you say supply disruptions and manipulation by OPEC. Why isn't Saudi pumping more, or any help from the Middle East on increasing production?
Well, it's clear that they use it as a political tool, right? I mean, anybody who doesn't think that they use oil as a political tool, out of Saudi Arabia is just, I don't know what planet they're smoking their crack on. Saudi Arabia is as manipulative as the United States, and they know that their tool is oil. So they have used really what was a long-term price war on oil um, to attack American producers.
Yeah, they were successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
I'm
took
looking.
us out.
Yeah, I'm looking for the. I mean, there was a ton of bankruptcies, right? So
Yeah.
right when they flooded the market with oil in 2014-15, bankruptcies went through the roof. They leveled off a little bit. And then there was the sanctions that didn't happen in 2018 that were promised on Iran, and they went up again. And then of course you had COVID. So they used circumstances to, you know, create the shortage in oil. It's not as if they can't get the oil. It would be pretty easy for them to produce another 2 million to 3 million barrels a day between them and the UAE, but they don't do it. And that's really because they want the price of oil higher. Now, you said something the last time we talked that what about um, the Westerners, America and Europe, wanting the price of oil higher so they can shift over to clean energy? And I think that there is a modicum of truth to that. Like I told you last time. However, politicians like to be reelected too. So they're looking for that balance. How high can they let oil be without, hurting their election chances? And the Saudis are, how high can we let oil be without people shifting over to clean energy too fast? And I think that equilibrium price, and having just talked to the CEO of a refining company, I think is probably around 80, maybe a little bit lower, but not much lower. I think it's going to be hard to see oil crash anytime in the next decade.
Well, in that article, don't you say that there's going to be a pumping panic
Yeah.
where all the people who are holding up production now to, inflict inflationary pain on Western countries, that they're going to be panicked and they're going to start pumping? What's going to be the catalyst for that?
So at some point, in all of these countries,
I want to know, Kirk, come on, man. I need the day, I need the hour, so I know when to click my mouse.
September 2026.
I'll forget. Will you remind me?
I'll remind you, September
Okay,
2026.
I'll forget. You'll come. I told you, Dale, 2026. All right. Well,
September
I
2026.
don't you think it could happen sooner with what's happening with tightening by the Fed, et cetera? That,
It could.
it's just another asset. And, I don't care where you are in the globe, your interest expense is doubled on everything.
Right.
So I mean, it's possible that, it's costlier to hold inventory or
do you really think that we're not going to see ZERP again in the next year or two?
I know guys that say that we will. I think we're going to have a correction in yields that I think began a few weeks ago.
I think central banks get looser imminently. I'd say by the end of the year.
Okay.
So I don't think that my thesis, which is shared by people like Neil Kashkarian and Neil Howe and Larry Summers, is wrong. There is a structural problem with the global economy. It has to do with aging demographics. Elon Musk talks about it now. There's no way to change it fast. It's just impossible. So the future of the global economy is slow, will be slow for a very long time, probably to the middle of the century. And as people age, you're going to have a couple of things become more reality, right? Aging is the reality of mankind. Demographics is destiny, but also part of destiny, and this is actually the title of an article, is demographics and robots are destiny. So you're going to see a lot of things change. A lot of old economy things go by the wayside because they don't have the means of production or the demand anymore. And then other things that are in this fourth industrial revolution are going to do spectacular. So you're going to have a great divergence in the economy where old finally becomes old and dies, slow morphine drip deaths, and the things that are in the fourth industrial revolution economy, the things that allow a third of the population to work from anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. That's really where we're at right now.
We've been doing it for years, Kirk. What's the big deal?
Well, you guys are ahead of your time. I've said that all along.
You were too. When's the last time you had your own office?
January of 2016.
Okay, see. So
I had an expensive, nice suburban office.
Yeah. So it didn't take a pandemic for you to not want to commute, even drive to the office anymore.
Oh man, yeah. No, the hour a day of driving was killing me.
Yeah. So it would be, especially now. What's your recession call? Yes or no?
I have said that there will be a skip straight recession. And what I mean by that is, I think for the next, well, I think it just happened. The first one just happened, but I think we probably get another negative quarter in the next year. It might be the first quarter. The first quarter is usually when we're weak. It's hard to have back-to-back negative quarters. Inventories clearly had something to do with the last quarter. All the unloading of ships. You had 2/3 of the ships finally unload in the first quarter. I don't think that the American consumer is weak enough to see a big downturn. I mean, could we have just a barely negative second quarter? I guess maybe. And then does that really qualify as a recession? Not in my book. The technical definition of recession is a substantial change in the economy, and I'm not so sure that we've quite seen that yet. But I mean, there is still a stagflation narrative out there that could happen. I talked about this back in 2018, how we were setting up for it. All these things that are manifesting now. I've got articles out there from 2018 where I was quoting Gary Cohen, talking about how we're setting up for stagflation. Could it happen? It could, right? I mean, maybe we don't get extra oil from Venezuela or Canada. Maybe Saudi Arabia decides to go, fire and brimstone on the whole global economy. I mean, I don't think that's in their interest, but I don't know. Is MBS crazy? I doubt it. So I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe he is. Who knows? I think
you have a feel for what's going to be the end game in Ukraine.
Well, I said this actually like the second day of the conflict. I said that I thought that Russia would retreat from Kiev and try to take the eastern part and have a land bridge, down to Crimea. And that's exactly what they've done. I'm surprised that it's taken so long. The Ukrainians have been just amazing at fighting back. I didn't know that it would go that way. That's for sure. I didn't know that we had been sending them so many weapons for so long. I didn't see it not being a quicker thing. So I think that ultimately Russia takes the eastern part of Ukraine. Putin declares victory. He's going to say that he disarmed Ukraine. He's going to say that he freed the people in the eastern part of the country. And, enough people in Russia will be okay with it, at least in the short run. However, he has really pissed off some of the super wealthy and they've got power. So, we'll see if Vladimir Putin ends up real sick someday in the not too distant future. We'll see.
For a while, we were looking for things to happen in Iran. There was a little news article that they were a couple of weeks away from having a nuke. Was that fake news?
I think that they've been real close for a long time. I mean, I don't know if you can measure it in weeks at this point, but,
okay.
I think that they've had the technology for a while, and I'm sure that they've been doing things that they weren't supposed to. Okay. Would they ever launch a nuke, though? I think that the delivery system is what we have a better focus on, right? I mean, could they do like a dirty bomb? For sure, they could. They could have done that a long time ago. Would they ever have fire a missile, right? I don't think they have that technology and capability yet. And I think that if they were on the verge of acquiring it, we'd blow it to smithereens. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. And
I will
Kirk,
say
any-
I do think Iran is going to produce more oil imminently. I think that there will be an Iran nuclear deal. I
okay.
think that they've been on the verge of
would
that
do
for
it.
a while.
Well, technically, we take out 94 and measure 60, what you talk about in your interview. I mean, in your piece that you wrote. So
So I missed a little bit of that. You faded
oh,
out on me.
if we take out the 94 support level in WTI, it measures down to 60.
Yeah, that 60 to 80 range is something that I think is coming. You know, you guys are way
Will
better
it come in
short-term
time
traders than me.
for the election?
That's always what I thought.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Yeah, to be a nice chart for Biden to show in a
right.
commercial.
Yeah, and I don't know
Yeah,
if it'll be
Mr.
in time for the
Inflation Fighter.
midterms. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be in time for the midterms.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right.
I think the Democrats have a tough road to hoe here.
Okay. And how's your poker career going?
I will be in Vegas for 2 weeks playing in the World Series of Poker, starting in a month. So
Okay.
we'll see. We'll see if I'm any good anymore.
Kirk's a rounder.
A
Right,
little
but-
bit. I try to get around.
It was great talking to you, bro. What's the best way for people to follow your writings and what you do every day with Scott and what you're offering nowadays?
So this article will be on the free side of Seeking Alpha today. So it'll be right up here. You just find my profile on Seeking Alpha. And then my investment letter is here, fundamentaltrends.com. And I just created a special coupon, Forex50. So if anybody wants to try it out, you can get it for half price forever. So mainly just because I appreciate what you guys have done for me. And, I listen in whenever I can. And you guys are, I know, some of the best traders around. I really have benefited from having Shooter over in my chat room. So that's worked out pretty well. So if you're into stocks, and you can give up doing Forex 24/7, I might be somebody who have a good idea for you now and then.
Yeah, Kirk's got good insight and instincts about what's going on, can look beyond the horizon. And want to thank you for your time today, Kirk. Always root for you guys. Good hunting the rest of the spring. And I'll just get you back into the rotation. I'll contact you on Twitter.
Sounds good.
Great to talk to you again, Kirk.
Yeah, have a good one.
All right, my trading warrior brother, Kirk Spano, at Kirk Spano on Twitter. And there's his website, fundamentaltrends.com. That's going to be a wrap, everybody. You're welcome, Ann, Alexander, and you could join the team for the Morning Edge in 18 minutes. And thank you, Kirk, for those kind words. You owe us big time.
Yep. You gotta have a good
just
day.
kidding, man.
Yeah. Big time. Big time. Big lead.
Your first child, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks very much, Kirk, and interesting stuff today as usual.
All right, you take care.
All right, adios. That's it, everyone. Don't just count your oil barrels. All right, count your blessings. See everyone to wrap it up. Wrap it up tomorrow. Adios. See you, Mary. See you, Laura.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.